a biblical name, Resurrections, was released a few days before Christmas. A day that people should be thinking about Jesus or the birth of Jesus, and here this movie hits the stage. I don't believe that was by chance. I believe that we are caught in a war and they are asking us to choose sides.
Everyone's clearly got an opinion about the Wachowskis' newest addition to their Matrix anthology, which is called The Matrix Resurrections. But only a few are talking about the strong conclusions found in this analogy. The Wachowskis' goal with this series is to change the perceptions of what is real and true with the same story retold.
We're still telling the same stories we've always told, just with different names, different faces.
Changing the perceptions of what is real by subtly seeding the audience with analogies and examples in parable form.
That's it, isn't it? If we don't know what's real, we can't resist.
Over and over in The Matrix 4, the concept of what is real emerges.
These are two people that have done it their way, it's amazing. It's amazing.
The Wachowski brothers are doing their part to change the minds of the population while making fun of those who know the truth. In fact, at the very end, after the credits, the creators try to deconstruct this perception through humor.
Media is nothing but neural trigger response and viral conditioning.
Wait, what are you two talking about?
Although this scene was an after-credits scene, it's quintessential to understanding the mindset of the writers. Neuro-trigger response is often talked about in PTSD patients, where the soldier has been conditioned to a specific involuntary response to a sound or situation. In short, the character is saying that media is nothing but training our brain to respond without thinking. In the second part, he says media is viral conditioning, or being quickly programmed to act a certain way. So essentially, the writers have said media is nothing but quickly training our brain to act a certain way without considering the moral consequences. Of course, a bit of humor is attached to the end to make sure that the audience doesn't think too much about it, and continues to be infected with the Wachowski brothers' viral conditioning. Out of all the movies based in Hollywood that are subtly changing society, The Matrix is by far the easiest to prove that the writers were consciously trying to change society.
While the Matrix trilogy from the early 2000s amalgamated the savior concept found in the Bible, the Wachowski brothers took it a step further, stated on record that while they are proud that there are multiple interwoven analogies into the Matrix, such as the concept of good and evil, the overarching concept that they are trying to procure into impressionable minds was to tell the story of transgenderism.
Lily Wachowski confirmed this finding when he exposed the true hope for the movies was to be this transsexual analogy. He even originally wrote into the film a character that would change identities between the real world and the Matrix.
Not like this. Not like this.
The Matrix stuff was all like about the desire for transformation, but it was all coming from a closeted point of view. And so we had the character of Switch, who was like a character who would be, a man in the real world, and then a woman in the Matrix. And both were where our headspaces were. I'm glad that it has gotten out that, that was the original intention, but the world wasn't quite ready at a corporate level. The corporate world wasn't ready for it, so.
A number of writers begin to catch on to the subtle hints found in the trilogy. One of them said it this way.
Emily Vanderwerf is critic at large for Vox. She wrote about trans themes in The Matrix and noticed that, quote, the movie follows characters who break free of their real life via the internet, creating online identities that feel more real than their physical ones.
I think that the main sort of thrust is really the idea that the system that you have built your life upon is a lie and is made up. And obviously that has larger applications beyond trans identities. I don't want to pretend it doesn't. But if you are a trans person, there is sort of this idea that you are living in a muffling cocoon that is keeping you from seeing the reality of yourself. And that cocoon, to some degree, is the idea of fixed gender identity, which is one that society is very, built atop.
So what is the Matrix really? It's an analogy of a system of rules that people have been taught to be their truth, according to the writers. And we can see this theme throughout the whole movie. Even from the writer's own script, it shows that the Matrix is more than a computer system that is physically connected to the human mind.
Zion was stuck in the past, stuck in war, stuck in a matrix of its own. They believed that it had to be us or them.
The character's own words use the Matrix to mean a philosophical, metaphysical allegory of how to control someone's mind through concepts and ideas, making the Matrix movie a matrix of its own.
And for everyone trapped in this meta system, the obvious course of action that the writers want to reveal is how to extract yourself from the so-called trap.
Just remind people what a free mind can do. Free your mind.
You care more about growing fruit than freeing minds.
We are not going to have this argument.
Free my mind. Okay. Free my mind.
Which, by the way, is a strange phrase to use when the movie portrays a machine that is literally connected and attached to the innermost parts of your brain, controlling your senses while they say that they are free from the system. But the freedom that the Matrix is subtly trying to make you think about is the systems that program us to believe or think a certain way.
Are we all just algorithms doing what we're supposed to do, or can we escape our programming?
How do you know if you want something yourself or if your upbringing programmed you to want it?
These unanswered questions have very little to do with the overarching character development or storyline, but instead they mimic the original deceiver's method of seeding our consciousness with lies by asking questions that make us question what we know and understand as truth.
The main thing that the fourth film is about, without spoiling it, is about the idea that these binaries that we've built our lives upon are often not as cut and dry as we'd like to think. And that goes beyond gender. There's all kinds of binaries we've built within our lives. Good, evil is a very obvious one.
What about binaries that form the nature of things? Ones and zeros? Light and dark? Choice in its absence?
Maybe it's not as binary as that. Maybe there are other ways to understand what happened.
Yeah.
These binary concepts apply to more than just gender, though, like the movie said. The concept of what is real conveys the same question that Pilate jested towards Jesus when he questioned his authority.
What is truth?
Truth, in the Matrix, is represented by the word real.
Real? There's that word again.
If we don't know what's real, you can't resist.
And that is the absolute crux of the whole matter with the Wachowski brothers. If they can convey through enough mind-bending scenarios and mind-altering questions to manipulate the binary truths in your head, they can break the set of rules that you live by to initiate their own matrix inside your head.
This isn't real. What is real? How do you define real?
With this concept in mind, it's easy to see what was actually going on inside the Wachowski brothers' minds while creating the film. In the movie, the word matrix is an allegory for the systems that make up the truth that most people believe.
The first matrix I designed was quite naturally perfect. It was a work of art, flawless, sublime.
My predecessor loved precision. His matrix was all fussy facts and equations.
A harmony of mathematical precision. I prefer counting from the emergence of one integral anomaly to the emergence of the next, in which case this is the sixth version.
The machines that run the Matrix are essentially God, which the Wachowski brothers don't try to hide by the use of the name Deus Machina, which is Latin for God machine or machine god.
I work for a game company called Deus Machina.
As we have already learned, Neo is the undisputed savior in the movie. He died and was resurrected and now has godlike powers. His prophecy says that he will save Zion and the rest